This wasn't just a random shooting, and it definitely wasn't an accident. What happened to Ben 10 is tied to a deeper conflict, one that connects street power, industry influence, and two names you don't want to see collide. Because when Jay, Prince, and NBA YoungBoy end up on the same timeline, things don't stay quiet for long. At first, people tried to treat this like just another situation, another headline, another story that would come and go. But this one didn't fade. It kept growing, and the deeper you look into it, the more it feels like something much bigger than a simple disagreement. This is a story about power, respect, and what happens when two completely different worlds refuse to back down. Before we even get into what happened to Ben 10, you need to understand the people involved, because without that context, none of this makes sense. Let's start with Jay Prince. Jay Prince isn't just another name in hip-hop. He's a figure that represents decades of influence. His real name is James Prince, and back in 1986, he built something from nothing in Houston, Texas. At a time when Southern rap wasn't even taken seriously, he was already laying the foundation for what would later become one of the most important movements in hip-hop. Through Rap-A-Lot Records, he helped bring artists like the Ghetto Boys, Scarface, and UGK into the spotlight. But his impact goes far beyond music. Jay Prince is known for something deeper: connections. The kind of connections people don't always talk about publicly. There are stories about him stepping into situations where things were getting dangerous and finding a way to calm everything down. When tensions in the industry got too high, his name was often mentioned as someone who could step in and bring balance. In Houston, his word carries serious weight, not just in music, but everywhere. If he supports you, doors open. If he doesn't, things get complicated. Now on the other side, you have NBA YoungBoy, and he represents a completely different type of power. YoungBoy didn't come up through the traditional system. He didn't rely on radio. He didn't need industry approval. He built his name from the ground up, through consistency, authenticity, and a connection with his audience that most artists can't replicate. Coming from Baton Rouge, his story is raw. He went through real struggles at a young age, including time in jail. But when he came out, he didn't slow down. He worked harder, dropping music constantly, building momentum, and creating a fan base that became more like a movement than just listeners. What makes YoungBoy different is simple. He doesn't play industry games. He moves how he wants. He speaks how he feels. And when he believes someone is moving wrong, he responds. Every time. That's what makes the situation so serious. Because now you have two people who both have power, but in completely different ways. Jay Prince represents structure, influence, and long-standing authority. YoungBoy represents independence, loyalty, and raw energy. And when those two energies collide, it's never simple. Now let's go back to where all of this really started. Houston, Texas. At that time, YoungBoy was in Houston. And that alone made things complicated. Because Houston isn't just another city, it's Jay Prince's territory. A place where his presence is deeply felt. But YoungBoy wasn't thinking about politics. He was just moving how he moves. Then something happened that changed everything. He got robbed. His jewelry, chains, valuables, gone. Now on the streets, getting robbed is serious. But getting robbed in someone else's city? That's even bigger. Because it raises questions. How did it happen? Who knew? And more importantly, how was it allowed to happen? People started whispering. Not necessarily blaming Jay Prince directly, but questioning how something like this could happen in a place where his influence is so strong. But then came a twist. Jay Prince got the items back. Through his connections, his network, or whatever means he used, he managed to recover what was taken. On the surface, that sounds like a good thing. Someone helping fix a wrong. But the way it was done changed everything. Instead of handling it privately, Jay Prince went public. He posted about it, letting everyone know that he had YoungBoy's belongings, and telling him to reach out to get them back. Now from the outside, it might seem like a helpful gesture. But to YoungBoy, it felt completely different. In his eyes, this wasn't help. It was a power move. Because making it public changes the meaning. It creates a narrative. It makes it look like YoungBoy needed Jay Prince to fix his problem. Like he had to come to him to get back what was already his. And YoungBoy isn't the type to accept that. Not at all. Instead of playing along, he stayed silent. He didn't publicly respond. He didn't acknowledge it. He didn't go collect the items in a way that would feed into that narrative. That silence spoke loudly. It created tension, and it marked the beginning of a real divide. From that moment on, things were different. There was no resolution, no mutual understanding, just quiet tension waiting to grow. Now fast forward, because this is where things take a darker turn. Ben 10, a name that might not be as widely known, but someone closely connected to YoungBoy. Part of his circle, part of his world, and then suddenly, he got shot. But this wasn't random. Not at all. According to reports and conversations surrounding the situation, there's a connection that changes how everything is understood. A connection involving Jay, Prince's son. Here's what's been said. Jay, Prince's son, was involved in setting up a situation, a fight. And this fight included YoungBoy's brother. Now think about that. This isn't just about artists anymore. This is family. The fight happens. Tensions rise. And after that, Ben 10 ends up getting shot. When you connect those events, it doesn't feel like coincidence. It feels like escalation. From YoungBoy's perspective, this changes everything. Because now it's not just about disrespect or public perception. Now it's personal. You already had tension from the robbery situation. You already felt like someone was trying to position themselves over you. And now, someone connected to that same person is involved in a situation that leads to your people getting hurt. That's not something you ignore. That's not something you forget. And if you understand how YoungBoy moves, you already know what that means. He takes loyalty seriously, very seriously. His music has always reflected that, talking about trust, betrayal, consequences. So when something like this happens, it doesn't just stay in the background. It becomes part of the story, part of the tension, part of what drives everything forward. Now let's be clear. Not everything is officially confirmed. There are no complete public reports detailing every detail. But the timing, the connections, and the way things have unfolded tell a story that people aren't ignoring. And that's why the situation feels so dangerous. Because it's not just about words anymore. It's about actions. Real ones. Now let's zoom out for a second. Because this isn't just about one incident. It's about something bigger. Territory. Power. Control. Jay, Prince built Houston. Not literally, but in terms of influence. His presence in that city is undeniable. YoungBoy, he doesn't recognize that kind of control. He moves freely. He doesn't ask for permission. And that difference creates conflict. Because from one side, it looks like disrespect. From the other, it looks like independence. Now add in everything that's happened, and you get a situation that keeps escalating. There's also something else that changed the dynamic. The idea of being banned from Houston. Now technically, no one can officially ban someone from a city, but influence, that's different. If someone with enough power makes it clear that you're not welcome, that affects everything. Shows, opportunities, safety, and that's what makes this part serious. Because it shows how deep Jay, Prince's influence goes. But here's the twist. YoungBoy didn't back down. He didn't try to fix things. He didn't try to negotiate. Instead, he doubled down. Through his music, through his actions, through his silence on certain things. His message was clear. He doesn't need permission. And that's where things become unpredictable. Because now you have two sides that aren't willing to step back. On one side, years of influence, connections, control. On the other, loyalty, independence, mass support. And when both sides stand firm, there's no easy ending. The problem is, people around them start getting affected. Ben 10 getting shot is proof of that. Because in situations like this, it's rarely the main figures who get hurt first. It's the people around them. And that's what makes this situation serious. Right now, nothing is resolved. There's no clear ending. No closure. Just tension. And the possibility that things could escalate even further. Because when pride, power, and loyalty all come together like this, it doesn't just fade away. It grows. So the real question is, what happens next? Does someone step in and calm things down? Or does this continue building into something even bigger? Because history has shown, situations like this don't end quickly. And until something changes, this story is still being written. Drop your opinion below. Who do you think moved wrong first? And do you think the situation ever gets resolved? Or is it only getting started?